Was there really no music this entire time? Did I just do 8 minutes of just silence? Let me know if y'all can hear it right now. You don't hear music either? That's weird. Then I can fix that. Let me fix that, because I wanted to have music in this. I guess it's not playing it. I thought the music. I can. Well, yeah. Could you hear the music in the background that I was playing? Because if not, then I'll just play it elsewhere. So I thought I had the music going. I didn't want this to be like 8 minutes of like no music. You know. I know you guys can see and hear me now. I just added myself to it, but that's strange. I don't know why I wouldn't have it on there. That is so weird. You know what I'm gonna do though? I'm just gonna play it off my phone, because that's. I don't know if you guys will hear it very well. Oh my goodness, guys. Did you guys feel that shift last night? That was crazy. So there was like a global meditation yesterday and I missed it. I think I was playing video games while it was happening. I can't remember exactly. But my dreams were so intense and cinematic, and sometimes even cartoonish, but it was like such a massive, just kind of hard to describe actually, but it felt like something was being unlocked. It felt like I was gaining access to my inner world, like a different kind of access. Like it's kind of like when you have like so many different security keys and you have to go through so many different doors. That's kind of how it felt like. It felt like I had like 3 or 4 or 5 different security keys, and I got access to this other part of my inner world that I previously have not been to. And I think this is something that we all experience. So I wanted to talk about this global awareness shift and the fact that the world has changed forever. And I think a lot of this is synced up, of course, with the numerology of yesterday. And these energies are playing into today. It was 4/4/20/20. So that is 444 essentially. And I think it's interesting because 444, it's one of those angel numbers. But I think it's interesting also how the number 4 in China is like a bad number. It's like the number of death. But interesting enough, this is synchronized with Jupiter conjuncting Pluto, and Jupiter is about expansion, but Pluto is about death and rebirth. So in a sense, this 4 has it's like a double-sided meaning. It means this great sense of protection and growth, but at the same time, the death of the old world, and it was synchronized. And I feel like the global meditation that happened yesterday, of course, they happened at different times, but overall, the global meditations that we're going to see, that we had yesterday and that we will see today, are actually preparing us for this new world and coming into it. And like I said, a lot of people probably participated in it. I knew about it, and for some reason, I didn't participate in it. But I'm probably going to be doing some sort of like live stream later on tonight, where we'll probably just have like honestly a big dance party, because I feel like that's kind of what this energy is. Like, for me, the way that I honor, the divine and the sacred, and the way I connect in meditation, the most powerful way that I do it is through dance and music. So tonight we're probably going to do something along those lines. But This was a massive awakening, guys. And I'm going to show you guys, of course, the chart. I'm also going to look at the Vedic too, because I've been looking at Vedic lately as well. And so I'm going to use both of them to kind of augment this reading and to kind of let you all know what the freak is going on. Because I'm telling you guys, I actually woke up with some anxiety today just because of how insane my dreams were. But essentially in my dream, it's like I had lost my memory and I was trying to regain it within the dream, right? But there were certain people that popped up in my dream that for some reason I remembered and I knew, and it was helping to jog my memory. And then when I woke up this morning, first of all, I thought my heart had stopped, but I mean, I'm still here. And then I heard this voice that said, it was almost sort of like, it almost sounded like an AI or robotic, but it was something along the lines of gaining access to inner world. That's what it sounded like. And I felt like this is not something that is unique to me. I believe that we all have just gained access and clearance to the inner world. Human resonance is very high since the meditation last night. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I've been looking a little bit more at the human resonance to myself. It has been very high lately. In fact, some of the numbers that we're seeing, we've never really have seen before. So it's like, despite all of the craziness that's happening in the world, there is such a great support for the awakening of this global consciousness that we're gonna make it through this, guys. We really are. We're gonna make it through this. Wow. So the card that I actually got is the card of impasse right now. Reflect. Was it reflect and redirect your energy? So I'm feeling like what happened is that we did kind of come to an impasse, and this impasse is this portal. And I think what happened is that the only way that we could walk through this portal is if we reflect on our inner world and then redirect that energy. That's pretty much what happened yesterday in that global meditation that so many people participated in. Whether you realize it or not, you were a participant in that. Even if you were simply aware of it. But I'm gonna draw another card too, because I think this is interesting. Yeah, we got Voyage of the Heart. Love flows through you and to you. So this inner world that we have gained access to is actually the heart space. So much of humanity has been stuck in the lower chakras, in the root, sacral, and a little bit of the solar plexus. I feel like the overall average and level of the awareness is actually shifting up into the heart space. And as this awareness globally shifts more into the heart space and we start to purify those lower chakras, we're going to begin to unlock a lot of the memory. We want to unlock a lot of things that we have forgotten. And you're going to start seeing this come out more and more and more as people go more into their heart space. And a lot of this has to do with the throat chakra as well, because you got to think about it, considering what we're going through right now with SARS, Corona, whatever like that. This is actually dealing with a blockage between the heart and the throat chakra. So as we shift more into the heart space, as we shift more into this area and we begin to go into that inner world, we're going to start to remember who we are. We're going to start to remember. But the global shift, and a lot of people have been doing this on their own anyways, but I'm saying as a collective, we are now shifting our awareness from, the root, the sacral chakras, more through the solar plexus and into the heart space. We're shifting it more now. Now I hear the music. Yeah, we hear the music. I'm playing it off my phone, that's why. But I want to know what your experience was with this, guys, because I think everyone's experience is different and unique. Like I said, for me, I felt like I am gaining access to what I had forgotten before. And it is a bit scary because these are things that you know, these are these are things that haven't been experienced on this earth plane in a while. Hello, Alexandra. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Like I said, in my dream last night, there was so many things that were happening, but it was like I remember that I got hit up on the head in my dream. Then I blacked out, and then I woke up in like this field, and there was like a festival going on, and I couldn't really remember who I was in the dream. So I was trying to figure it out and stuff like that. It almost felt like I was like put into like a whole new life. And then as the dream continued on, I began to remember more and more and more. For some reason, my wife was in a wheelchair. That was a weird thing that happened. I recognized one of my friends. There was just some crazy things that are going on. So I guess that was just the way that I process it. Everyone's going to process it a little bit differently, especially based off of what energies that you have. Like say for example, like, you know, I'll just take myself for an example. I'm a Pisces moon in the 4th house. So Pisces is naturally, you know, 12th house, you know. So I do tap into the world's energy very potently. And with it being in the 4th house, I kind of take it to heart. I take it to home. And it's like I view the whole world as our home, and we're all roommates. So even though I didn't participate directly in the meditation, I participated in my own way through my dream state. And that's not to say that I won't be meditating today or doing some type of acknowledgement of this shift. But pre-2021 is basically the old times. You hit it on the nail. I did my first meditation for my spiritual group online. It was amazing. I had to hold back tears at the end. I went outside and hugged a tree. What was that? Sun, Capricorn, Moon, Sag, Rising, Libra, Venus, Aqua. Potent energies. I like that. I love that. But yeah, share with me your experience, because this was such a massive shift, you know, just kind of crazy, really. I kind of want to say that, guys, we made it. Like, we're here. I dreamt that I was attending a summer camp of some sort. I was really popular among the girls there, and then my old Sag ex appeared and said she missed me, but I was really in deep disgust. That's kind of interesting. I actually felt a bit of shame last night in my dream, because in the midst of me forgetting who I was, I ended up cheating on my wife with someone that looks kind of similar to her. And then I remembered it, and I felt guilty about it when I woke up. I mean, she doesn't care, but it's like I kind of, sometimes I take my dreams seriously and stuff like that. I'm not even gonna lie, unfiltered. I'm not going to lie. I used to be like such a horn dog in my dreams. Not so much anymore. And it probably has something to do with the fact that I'm married. And yeah, people can be like, oh, it's just a dream. But for me, dreams aren't just dreams. So I remember I recently had a dream maybe like a week ago where I actually walked in on an orgy, and I was like, no. And I walked out. I walked out of the room. Now, if I had that same dream, maybe like 6-7 years ago, maybe even in the beginning of our relationship, I probably would have participated, but I walked out. But for some reason last night, I guess I had forgotten who I was. There was also a weird thing at the end of my dream where I felt like I was floating in space, and I felt like I had tapped into my hero self, but I didn't quite know what I was doing. I did not quite know what was happening, but I know I was like floating in space. It was kind of weird. It made me realize that I'm attracted even though I'm thinking I'm not good enough. Like, I was really popular in the camp. It was insane. See, there you go. I think everyone's kind of experiencing this differently. We also want to look to see where this conjunction is happening. Like, for me, it's my 2nd house. So a lot, of course, with you know, self-worth, value, building the foundation. I think that's the other big one for me, is actually building the foundation. Taurus, I see it as the foundation. We got the Ace of Swords, guys. Yeah, there is a new truth that's coming through. And here's the thing about truth, and here's the thing about truth versus facts. Okay, here's the thing about truth versus facts, because they do carry different vibrations. Okay, they do carry different vibrations. Everybody has a truth. Okay, and there is an ultimate truth, right? Everyone has a truth, but what's true for you may not be true for someone else. Okay, now there are also facts. Facts are kind of like a fixed modality. They can't change. Facts can't change. So that's the weird thing. When you hear someone say my truth, it is actually like their truth actually is their truth. But I think sometimes that can be a trigger for people because it may not necessarily be true for them. Sometimes people will pass off their truth as absolute facts, and we shouldn't really do that. Okay. I think what we're all looking for right now are the facts. But in order to get the facts of what's going on, we actually have to explore what our deep inner truth is. And I feel like last night was the tipping point of going in that direction of knowing what our true inner world looks like. That's what it was. Imagine how couples will change when people start to consciously read minds. Dreamt that my dad had tried everything to make me mad at him and woke up mad feeling it was true. Weird. Yeah, it's a lot of you want to pay attention to your dreams. You really do. Even though the moon was in Virgo, that's why the dreams probably felt very real last night. That's probably why they felt very real last night. And you also have to think about it. You know, when it comes, Virgo is an earth sign, but it's mutable earth. So literally the world, the earth, even like the physical plane is actually shifting right now. So let's take a look at some of the astrology, actually. Let me see, how am I going to do this? I'm going to share my screen. I don't want to do it like that. Hold on. Let's see. Which way do I want to do it? Which way do I want to do this? Sharing on my screen. It might just do it. Anyways. So you guys can see this, right? Okay. We have Jupiter and Pluto at 24 degrees of Capricorn. Saturn's here at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Mars is here at 4 degrees. We also have the moon here. Now let's go back to the exact time of the conjunction, which happened yesterday at 10:45 p.m. approximately. Of course, this could be different based off of your time zone, but this is when the exact conjunction happened. So I know a lot of people were meditating around this time, and you kind of want to check to see what you were doing around this time. I think, like I said, I myself was playing video games, and I think I was pretty drunk last night, so interesting enough. But we also have to look at look, Mercury is on top of Neptune. So Mercury, this is about communication in the mind, and with it being so close to Neptune, everyone was communicating, was on a certain everyone was vibrating on a certain level, and a lot of people were coming together for this mass meditation that happened, which supported us all going into the new world. So congratulations, we're in the new world now. This new world is going to be revealed to us, as the year progresses. But as we move also into 2021, we're going to actually simultaneously see the old world die. And there's actually going to be opportunities for us to go back and forth in between these worlds. But I would say that, you don't want to stay. The portal's going to break at some point. All right. So how do I describe this? It's like, say you have a cave and there's like a cave in, right? So right now the cave is actually open and we can step into the new world. Now there will be opportunities for us to go back into the cave and to retrieve things that we feel can be alchemized in the new world, but some things are going to have to be completely left behind. But I think that we have a certain deadline for this before the cave completely collapses in and we can't go back. That's going to happen later on this year in December. So, which happens to be synchronized, of course, with Saturn moving forward, because Saturn will retrograde and then it'll come back forward. So it's actually happens to be synchronized around that time. And there's a particular date in December, which I'm going to probably make a video more about that as a follow-up to this, about when is really the deadline, because you don't want to get stuck in the old world. And the old world is really a mental state. I'm not saying that you're just going to just completely disappear out of this world and go to another one or whatever, but it's really going to be a mental state. And if you are still within the old mental paradigm, you're not going to, the next 4 to 5 years is going to be very difficult, because since the world is shifting, you're not really going to know how to react and respond to it. And it's going to be a lot more volatile. Now, granted, a lot of people are going to wake up this year and over the next 4 years, as we actually come more into the remembrance of who we truly are. But yeah, this was the conjunction at 24 degrees. I'm going to read to you all real fast. From Inside the Degrees by Elias Lonsdale, 24 degrees of Capricorn. Really, you can say it's 25 degrees because it's so close based off of the solar minute, but I'm going to read 24 degrees of Capricorn. Interesting enough, this talks about stalactites and stalagmites almost grown together, which, you know, those are in caves. So I think it's awesome how I use the cave analogy. And then here we got stalactites and stalagmites almost grown together. Super tight fit, custom designed by destiny, tailor-made. The individual is carving out unique karmic arrangements to bear you across a difficult passage. We got the card of impasse earlier too, remember that. A journey undertaken under peril, a secret assignment withheld even from your conscious self. Okay, so this is subconscious in nature. Cloak and dagger, the thoroughly veiled soul, the enigma of destiny. The secret instructions are writ upon your innermost being, and you know them implicitly. Silent, circumspect, withheld. Super disciplined, guarded, and private, sworn to secrecy. And inside all of this, secret brotherhoods and cosmic streams send their emissaries to take up incredible tasks and think nothing of it. This whole passage deals with secrecies, enigmas, caves, tailor-made destiny, a journey undertaken under peril, secret assignments. This is dealing a lot with the Plutonian energy, which is about secrets and occult knowledge. But you can also see here, it talks about destiny. It talks about the journey. It talks about taking up these incredible tasks. That's the Jupiter quality in this too. So as you can see, that each and every one of our destinies is tailor-made to us. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. But what does unite us is that we're all in this together. And we are all actually supporting each other's story and adventure. But like I said, this is something that is very particular to you. And what I'm really getting is that spirituality, you know, which is particular to you, now we're going to start to understand what our truth is and how that actually fits into the collective narrative, into the galactic narrative. Because even though this is not a one-size-fits-all, we still all work together. And that's what's really important here. That's what's really important here. I'm going to read 25 degrees of Capricorn as well, because I almost felt like the 24 is kind of where we are, and the 25 is where we're going, in a sense. So I'm going to read that as well. A woman wearing a mask made out of butterfly wings, wrapped around in customary trappings, made to look and act the part superbly, programmed to do everything on cue. Taking yourself in hand and subordinating all other factors to ambition, power, and worldly position in a premeditated, systematic, super orderly fashion, fitting the role. So good at this, you fool yourself. The perfect wraparound setup of simply turning yourself into what everyone needs to see. But because there is so much manipulation and control in it, this can become highly corrupted. It all depends on the motivation. At best, you will become a viable role model for a given set of characteristics of an advanced kind to be embodied perfectly. But at worst, you will deceive and beguile and maneuver so smoothly that nobody will know what you serve, who your master is, and where all this comes from after all. I'm going to read that last bit because this is actually the two worlds that we're going into. These are the two different worlds. These are the two different mindsets of what's happening, okay? At best, you will become a viable role model for a given set of characteristics of an advanced kind to be embodied perfectly. And here we go. That's at best. So that's the world that we're moving into. It all depends upon your motivation. So the first world that we're moving into, that we're shifting into, at best, you will become a viable role model for a given set of characteristics of an advanced kind to be embodied perfectly. Second half. But at worst, you will deceive and beguile and maneuver so smoothly that nobody will know who you serve, who your master is, and where all this comes from after all. So it's kind of crazy when you really think about it. So we all have a choice right now which one we're going to do. And it can be kind of scary, the first one, because it's saying that we have to embody this perfectly. But it also said earlier in this passage that we're programmed to do everything on cue. So even if you're afraid to step into the light, or step into the light of your truth, and even the darkness, because there is darkness here as well, if you're afraid to step into that dark space and light it up with your being, if you're afraid to do that, this is saying that you can still do it, because there's a programming here, a deep subconscious programming, where you're actually going to do everything on cue anyways. It's premeditated, it's systematic. This has definitely a feeling of fate here. Definitely has a feeling of fate here. This is a mixture of fate and destiny, in a sense. Whole Norway got digitalized 3 weeks. The news outlet says we will never return. They call it a digital awakening. Companies went online to survive, and people become digital overnight. The video conferencing software Zoom went from 10 million to 200 million users in 4 months to fix their security focus. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Hello, Jenny. How are you doing? Today is going to be another one of those days where we want to continue along this process of these global awakenings, these global meditations, and raising the vibration. I think really right now what it's coming down to is that we don't just pigeonhole ourselves to do things on a specific day, but hopefully this 444 portal that we happened yesterday will actually feed into the future, and this can become a more common thing where we don't necessarily need to be looking for a particular number or date that will fit our narrative, because we believe that those numbers are going to be the most viable, but we do this anyways because that's it's not the numbers and the date that's the motivation, it's the reason why we're doing it in the first place. So I think that's really what's going on here. We can do meditations on a day where the numbers are like 444 or whatever, and we do it because that looks good, it looks comfortable. But now this is about taking that energy and doing it consistently and having the discipline to do it, even when we may look at something and we're like, I don't know if I want to really meditate on that. We can't just meditate on a day that seems smooth. We have to be able to meditate, in a sense, on days that seem bumpy, so it's not necessarily about trying to fit the narrative. It's about what your true motivation is. What is it that truly drives you to do this in the first place? I believe that if we had global meditations like the one that we experienced yesterday, if we did this if we had one of these every day for a month, the whole world with so many problems in the world will be fixed just like this. Because of that energy and because of the collective intent and focus, if we have meditations like we had yesterday, and we did it every single day for an extended period of time, watch how the world shifts. And I'm hoping that yesterday is actually going to be a call to step into that energy, to do this every day and to set up that momentum, because that's really what's going to carry us out of this energy. I agree with you, Master. I love the energy too, and I don't understand why people are sad. I think it's a great energy. I think this energy right now is allowing so many people to really know who they are. And it's like no longer are we simply our name. No longer, I'm not Jamal Kwasi Wayne Pope. I am so much more than that, you know. You're not your name on your birth certificate, especially that one. We could talk about that later, about how you have two separate names. You have the name on your birth certificate and driver's licenses, which is all caps, which is a dead entity. And then you have your natural name, which is just uppercase, lowercase, lowercase, lowercase. Last name, uppercase, lowercase, lowercase, whatever. Yeah, there's two different ones. So meditate to move forward. Don't meditate for consistency. I agree with that. I'm saying that if we collectively made meditation a consistent thing, but with the intention to move the population forward, that's what I meant by that. I was just saying that if everyone meditated like that in mass for multiple days in a row, it would really shift the world. It would be a great healing. That's what I meant by that. I don't feel the portal did anything. I'm not sure I believe in it. I think really it's just open. For me, it's like the door opened and we have the choice to step through it or not. But I think everyone's kind of processing it differently. I believe that the portal is opened, personally. We'll probably feel it more once Jupiter goes into Aqua. Which, when will that be actually? When will that be? It's gonna be a while before Jupiter goes into Aqua, looks like. And Pluto's gonna retrograde actually at 25 degrees of Capricorn on April 25th, no less, which I think is kind of funny. Oh, and Mercury will actually be squaring it in Aries. Mercury in Aries at 25 degrees will actually be squaring Pluto and Jupiter. This is what I mean by we're going to go back into, I'm actually going to show you guys this. Hold on. Because this is what I meant by going back and forth between the two worlds, going in and out of the cave. Maybe because I didn't meditate. I didn't meditate either, and I felt the shift. That's the thing about it. I felt the shift, and even I didn't meditate either. So I want you guys to look at this, because you remember how earlier I was talking about those two different worlds? How one, you can be a beacon and a role model for others, or like really shining your light, or you can really deceive and beguile others and no one will really know what your motivation and who you serve is. So that's what this energy is. And that's why I said it's a mental game. Because we have, let's see, we have Mercury, the planet of communication here at 25 degrees of Aries. This is going to be on April 25th, right? April 25th. Interesting enough, this is actually at 2:55 p.m. 2525. So 25. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Not only that, but the moon's going to be at 5 degrees. There's an element of freedom here. There's an element of freedom here. Because 5 in many ways does represent freedom. But you also have the 6 right here, right? Which is about harmony in many ways. And we have the sun over here conjuncting Uranus on this day. So there's definitely some sort of quantum shift that's happening on this day. Pluto is going to retrograde and it's going to go back into Capricorn. So it's going to be going backwards into Capricorn at 25 degrees. Now we got to remember that this conjunction happened at 24 degrees of, let me show you guys. It happened at 24 degrees of Capricorn, but the solar minute is it's like 24, it's like 54. It's really close to that 25th degree. So it's almost like 25 degrees is when we finally actually step outside, right? Now when Pluto retrogrades, look, barely outside, and then Pluto decides to go back. So this is, like I said, the whole death and rebirth transformation process. Jupiter is going to be moving forward at 26 degrees, which is going to be sort of representative of our vision. Now Mercury here is going to be squaring this energy, which is a challenge. Mercury is in Aries. So this is going to be, of course, about communicating who we are. You know, Aries, you know, our personality, what we do, why we do the things that we do, our actions. But it's going to be squaring this energy in between Pluto and Jupiter. So this is actually going to be giving us a little bit more of an insight as to how we're going to make this decision. It's going to be a challenge. Are we going to go back into the cave and stay in the cave? Or are we going to step out into the light and expand further? But the Pluto retrograde is necessary because we're all going to have this. There's probably going to be something crazy that happens in the news on this day, because this is Capricorn. So there's definitely going to be something like on the world scale that's going to happen on this day. Moon will be in Gemini, Venus will be here. Maybe Trump will come out and say something kind of crazy, or maybe reveal some type of knowledge or information or secret. And then Sun on Uranus and Taurus at 6 degrees as well. This is definitely going to be an awareness shift as far as our value in the earth. Don't want to say this, but maybe some type of earthquake, maybe some type of natural phenomenon might happen on this day that may shift our awareness. But this is definitely a day to look out for. April 25th. You want to look out for this day. My guides say it's some kind of Earth Moon portal as Uranus Sun semi-sextiling Moon Gemini. Yeah, that's another thing. The semi-sextile is interesting. Sextiles is like opportunities. The semi-sextile is like kind of like meet me halfway there. So there is a sort of meet me halfway there kind of energy with that as well. It's just crazy stuff, guys. Like let's see what the bottom of the deck is. Wow, look at this. So we got the bottom of the deck. Bottom of the deck, we got the Two of Wands. This is the card of decisions, but this is also the card of possibilities. And as you can see, he's holding the world in his hands. So our whole world, like the world is in our hands, but you want to look to see kind of where he's holding the world. He's holding it, you know, kind of like near his, I guess, you know, solar plexus, kind of like just below his diaphragm. So our world is being elevated in a sense. We actually have the choice. Anything is possible, including massive healing on a global scale. That's possible too. Anything is possible. I think a lot of people are wanting different things though, and that's why it feels weird. Some people want healing, some people want the zombie apocalypse, you know? Like, that's what can make this such a weird time. Now, I also want to show you guys some other energies, because I think that this is really important as well. As soon as I can kind of find it. Let's see. Like I said, I've been kind of looking into Vedic as well, because I feel like it's pretty interesting. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and go to this and let's see. I'm gonna show you guys this in a moment. Let me share my screen again. So here's like the current Vedic ephemeris. And I've been looking at this a lot too, because I feel like they both actually are pretty important. Now we can look, see Jupiter here is at 0 degrees of Capricorn in Vedic. In the Uttarashara nakshatra, I'll probably talk a little bit more about Vedic on this channel. Some of you guys may already know it. Essentially, I think their planets are about 23 degrees or so behind Western astrology, but they also have these nakshatras, and there are 27 of them. So, and these actually give further details on these energies. So we have Jupiter, as you can see, it's at 0. Pluto also is here at 0. I think this is very important because 0 degrees of Capricorn is associated with the solstice energy anyways. So it does represent, in many ways, going into a new season or a new world, in a sense. Not only that, but the galactic center point is here. It actually emanates from around 26 Sag to about 0 Cap. So the fact that these energies met on this spot is pretty important, especially with Jupiter being here too, because Jupiter does rule Sag. So we can look a little bit more into that particular nakshatra. Bridges the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn, represented by 4 bright stars at the end of Sagittarius. It's told that this sector of the solar system is where the gods defeated the demons long ago. Presided over by the Vishvadevas, or universal gods, this nakshatra is related to divine creation. The ruling deities stand eternally ready to protect all that is good and true in the universe. It's symbolized by the elephant's tusk, or cot. That's interesting. Ganesha, the Lord of Beginnings, also holds providence here, and his essence, as one would expect, is personified as the head of the celestial elephant. Classically, Ganesha is portrayed with a shortened left hand and an intact right tusk. So it's interesting how the elephant comes up here. I know that my wife loves elephants. I know my mom loves elephants. It's a very powerful animal. The elephant's influence is suggested through the native's willpower, sense of responsibility, and aggressive nature. Like the native of her sister, the Uttarashara native exhibits many leadership qualities and is known to sanction war when challenged. Tusks also suggest penetration or are illustrative of the native's strong mental ability and courageous determination. The association to universal truth moves these folks to embody all the good of all the preceding sisters. The nakshatras are essentially moon mansions in Eastern astrology. So, like I said, there's 27 of them. Typically successful and generous folks, the Uttarashara are well respected by family, friends, and the community. These people are pure of heart, compassionate, and may be deeply spiritual. I think it's interesting how not only is it represented by the elephant, but it's also represented by the cot, or like this sort of crib. It's almost kind of like we're going back to basics in a sense, almost like we're being picked up out of the bed after sitting in there for quite a while. Let's see, was there anything else here? Nothing else with that one. But I just thought it was very interesting to kind of learn more about this nakshatra and what it represents and stuff. The elephant, like I said, we read just now how this was the area where, the gods defeated, the evil in the universe and stuff around this area. So I just think that's very interesting as well. And since we're at it, I'm probably going to go ahead and read 0 Degrees of Capricorn in this book, which is like I said, that's also going to be, I want to say in this book it's 30 degrees Sag is what it's going to. It's the same thing. So let me go ahead and read that. 30 degrees Sag and 0 Cap, because like I said, we can, I think there are definitely truths in both Western and Eastern. So let's read 30 Sag, which is also 0 degrees Capricorn, okay? The completion of a large Persian rug. The design of the world matrix entered upon, fathomed, appreciated, beheld, and entered into completely, losing the self and finding the self. Dancing at the edge of infinity, you are able to take up any lesson or phase with utter rapt abandon. You've been given the chance to take personally and collectively every old karmic cycle and free it up and move forward. An arduous, consuming endeavor. The sensation of bondage and freedom as one. That is kind of intense. It's almost like the sensation of bondage and freedom as one. That actually reminds me of an anime. I'll talk about a little bit more about that later. You feel driven to the utmost extent to become all of yourself and to be done with errant fragments. The process is endless, yet each stroke is inspired and transcendent and blessed. For when you agree to take on what nobody can take on, you are 1,000-fold blessed and given every consideration as you're doing the true work, letting the world matrix breathe into spaces beyond. This is actually talking about creating new worlds in the universe. Oh, wow. That's interesting. That last bit. That letting the world matrix breathe into spaces beyond. So this is talking about how we are all creators. We're all creator beings. But there are some people out there that will have you think that you're not a creator. But how you are a creator, a co-creator. And you're not just at the whim of other gods. You can actually create your own reality as well. The Earth School is about teaching how to create your own reality, but you can create your own star systems, planets, solar systems, etc. But I want to talk about the whole feeling bondage and freedom as one, and what that sensation feels like. I think that that's very interesting. Vedic has Uranus and Aries as well. Yeah, that's true. Where's the Fucus? I don't know. Fucus ain't nowhere to be found, bro. But the whole thing about freedom and bondage as one, this reminds me of an anime called Magi. Magi, the Magical Labyrinth. There was an individual in there. Her name was Morgiana, and she was a slave. And one of the main characters, Aladdin, happens to be his name, actually freed her and said that she can go off and do whatever she wants. She's not a slave anymore. As the show progresses, Aladdin, Morgiana, and another character, Alibaba, are traveling together, and she still has the chains, but she's still free. And as it even progresses further, she actually wants to keep the chains and use them almost as like a sacred treasure, because it represents where she came from, but also she has actually turned it and transmuted it into a symbol of freedom. It comes to the point where this is really badass scene where she's able to actually fly with the chains that were on her feet when she was previously a slave. They were it almost looked like a phoenix, because there was like fire around them, and she was able to fly with the chains around her feet. And that's kind of a good metaphor to what's happening right now, because we all probably in a sense feel like we are in this unescapable bondage, but at the same time there is this incredible freedom. So it's very confusing and befuddling to us how we can be held fast to a fate. We can be held fast to like a fate and predeterminism, but at the same time we have choice and free will, and we can create our own destiny. It's a weird sort of sensation, but it's about taking that bondage and alchemizing it and realizing that a lot of it is self-induced, if not most of it is self-induced. And then we take that and we use it to actually fly. So I think a lot of this also has to do with the fact that you have Chiron and Aries, and this has been a tough fucking energy, you know, Uranus and Aries. So could she just upload a picture of the chain to Instagram? I might be able to actually find a picture of what I'm talking about, so you guys can actually get like a visual, because that will probably help. Morgiana Magi. Let's see if I could find it. It'd be kind of interesting if I could find like an image of it. How she was essentially flying. Let's see if I can find it. A picture of it, because it was so cool. It really was. Okay, this is probably the best picture I could find that would kind of symbolize what I'm talking about. So let me show you guys this. So this is Morgiana. As you can see, she has like these like chains on her feet, but it's like, you see, it's like fiery, and she's actually using it to like move about and stuff. In the anime, it showed her pretty much using it to fly and stuff like that. So even though she was previously in bondage, and she may even appear like she's in bondage with the chains on her feet, she's actually using it to empower herself and move forward. And that's a very good way to look at this time and this energy and how we're feeling, and also with just the whole Chiron and Aries aspects, because it can kind of feel like, you know, these wounds that we have, these traumas that we have may keep us in bondage, and these traumas and these wounds are not just from this life, but these go back to many lifetimes. But now we're being called and asked to actually transmute these energies and to actually bring them into this higher sense of our truth and our worth. We also have to remember that Sagittarius energy is about transmutation, and it is the Temperance card. So, you know, there's a lot of this in play, especially with Jupiter being involved here. And then, of course, if you want to look at, you know, Vedic, this the nakshatra that it's in is actually ruled by Jupiter. So I think that's interesting. I think it's ruled by the Sun and Jupiter. So I think that that's also very interesting about kind of using, you know, what previously held us as, you know, bound to something, and actually using that to show just how free we actually are. It's kind of crazy, actually. But I just wanted to show you guys that real fast. But anyways, this is a global awareness shift. We'll talk more about this as the week goes on. I've been feeling like my mojo's been coming back. Like I said, I haven't been as active on here as I would have liked, but I feel like I am getting my mojo back. And now, oh wow, of course, I drew the World card. Of course, I would draw the World card, and then I'll draw one more card from my Oracle deck. Joy and delight. Open your heart to joy. Open your heart to joy. I know a lot of people aren't really feeling joy and delight right now, but just based off of the energies and based off of what's happening, not only are we incredibly protected, but we are actually allowed to feel joy. And I think the reason why it's so hard for people to open up right now is because maybe the last time that they opened up, they were hurt. And it probably did hurt. I think all of us, the last time that we really truly opened ourselves up to something, maybe it really did hurt. I also get the sense that a lot of people are going to remember the dreams from their childhood, and are actually going to embark on these dreams. Maybe someone might have said something, maybe not have believed in you. And now that these are coming back up, it's really, you're going to realize why you had that childhood dream in the first place and how really important that is. We have to remember, of course, the North Node being in Cancer right now at 2 degrees, mind you. So this is a very emotional degree. It's a very emotionally potent degree, you know, but the North Node represents, of course, kind of the direction that we want to kind of move towards. And Cancer in many ways does deal with the home, the sanctuary in our childhood. So, and with it being like 2 degrees, which is a degree of the moon, this makes it also very subconscious. That's why dreams lately have been very crazy. But this can also represent childhood dreams and tapping more into that energy. So kind of go back to kind of almost put yourself back into that mindset. And the whole joy and delight thing, it's almost telling me to be like a child at play and to remember that imagination. Because when children are at play, all of the worries of the world just kind of just fall away. It's funny, like I'll go out and I walk around my apartment complex and I see kids playing all the time. And it's like, they're not tapped into the frequency of the pandemic. And it could be because of, you know, simple ignorance, or maybe the parents aren't telling them, but they're still able to enjoy themselves, you know. This is really funny what I'm about to say, but just kind of a testament to this energy. You know, it's like you want to have the heart of a child, right? And you don't want to be immature and childlike, but you want to have like the heart of a child in a sense. But one of my coworkers was telling me about something that her son said back, of course, when I was working in the restaurant, now that we're closed and stuff. But essentially, apparently he went to school and there was only like maybe like 5 or 6 kids in the school. This is back when school was still in session and stuff. And she was like, well, do you know why a lot of people weren't in school? And he was like, yeah, it's because of the virus. And he had said something along the lines of like, I don't know why everyone's so afraid of the virus. I'm bigger than it, so I can beat it. Not only is that incredibly adorable and naive, but it actually is a lot of wisdom in that. Because bigger than it, yeah, it can be like actually physically bigger than it, but bigger than it can also mean that his vibration is higher than it, so it doesn't affect him. So that, I mean, I think that's the thing. Now we'll talk a little bit more about this virus later, another video about how this is affecting all of us and how it's really humbling all of us. But I thought it was just kind of funny to hear that story about, you know, this kid who's like, I'm bigger than the virus, so I can beat it. I think that's what this kind of comes down to, is that this moment is humbling all of us, but we are greater. We can be more. We can be more than this moment. So this is about not succumbing to that fear and that worry and that anxiety, but realizing that we are more, that we are protected, and that we are victorious. It's about remembering that every day. And, you know, we have to take our time to process this the best way that we can. We really do. Not easy. Like I said, we have the impasse, but then we have the voyage of the heart, and then we have joy and delight, which is about opening our hearts. So how are you going to take that voyage if you're not even opening your heart to joy in the first place? So anyways, I think I rambled on long enough in this video. So I appreciate you all joining me. Hopefully you got something out of this. We probably will do some other video tonight or maybe tomorrow. That'll probably be more of like a dance, meditation, music, celebration type deal. But yeah, we're going to continue to talk about these energies. I'm going to keep bringing these things to you as far as talking about different astrological aspects and my general observations and stuff. I do feel like I'm getting my mojo back finally. I was in a moment where I was just in a bit of a creative rut. Now I feel like I'm kind of getting back to, actually not really getting back to where I was, but actually taking the next step forward. So anyways, I love you all so much. I rambled on long enough. Thank you for staying with me this whole time. If you have, thank you for tuning in, whether you watch this live or back watching the recording back. But it's 1:51. I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm gonna go get some food. But I love you all so much. Y'all take care, stay blessed, and always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.